Oh snap, just when you thought you were going to keep your head above water, Chris Evans takes a dump on your face. So, in case you were curious, in case you were wondering, this is actually pretty cool. El Camino is showing in some local theaters in my area. So I'm wondering, I'm just dying to know if you could look. I would love to know in your area what it is El Camino playing in your theater in your area. Please let me know. I would love to hear if it is playing in your area, because this is something that was excited for and psyched about and completely went nuts for when I first heard about it. The fact that we might get Breaking Bad in movie theaters. Apparently we are, and hopefully it'll lead to more movies. Hopefully this is just the end of the end of the end of the of the non-committal end. Apparently they just Vince Gilligan just barely confirmed that Walter White is dead. It's like he wanted to string people along thinking this long that Walter may still be alive, and I mean I get that. You're trying to keep people going. That's pretty funny. Of course, if he's actually in this movie at all, it'll be a flashback. But they're calling it an American neo-Western crime drama, and that's a good title for the style of this, this filming, the style of filmmaking, the style of story writing and story execution. Thoroughly enjoyable, and something that has somehow touched the hearts of almost everyone that I know and people out there randomly. I mean, I just see even just YouTube comments. People are just like, the greatest television show in the history of TV. And so it's cool to see that, and interesting to kind of know and kind of just understand the subtleties and the details of what these characters went through to make it into this great thing, because people are saying it's a great thing, but man, it is such a sad story when you look at this. It's such a sad story, and I rewatched this entire show and went back through to really kind of plow through it and do a severe dark analysis on this thing. And man, it's really interesting to kind of try to figure out as to what was it about this show that really touched people. I mean, it's people becoming horrible. It's basically, I mean, he brings out the worst in everybody, and everybody is forced to bring out the worst in themselves to combat him, to combat the Heisenberg Walter White evildoer. And then there are small moments of redemption that he is met with, that he is able to push under your skin somehow. So in this film, there's going to be Aaron Paul
boiling for more chemistry.
Charles Baker as Skinny Pete. Matt Jones as Badger, which he's been in a lot of random hilarious commercials too. He is a very cool character. I would love to see a Badger side film, just him. I mean, even just him talking about, there's actually a funny side film about with Jesse Pinkman, and he's like, it's his band that he sung with, and Twat Hammer. the fallacies. And there's just some great moments. Badger's in the video and everything. There's some really funny stuff here. The mini episodes. If you haven't seen them, I'll link them in the description here. The fallacies. That's right. He's the the owner of a junkyard who would help Jesse, and so he's probably going to be interrogated because they were able to link the truck back to him. Mike's going to be in it, but he was killed, so he'll just be in flashbacks, obviously. But I'm surprised that they haven't listed Brock. According to Screen Rant, our lovely friends at Screen Rant, El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie, is set to pick up shortly after the events of the series finale, which is why Brock Cantillo isn't returning for the film. Written and directed by Vince Gilligan, El Camino will continue Jesse Pinkman's story after Breaking Bad and will hit Netflix October 11th. A number of Breaking Bad characters are set to return in El Camino, with Jesse Pinkman being joined by Skinny Pete and Badger, Matt Jones, Charles Baker and Matt Jones, respectively, on his new journey. There are also rumors of appearances from a number of other major figures from Jesse's life, including, of course, Walter White, Bryan Cranston. One person who hasn't been rumored to appear, though, is Brock, despite his close connection to Jesse. The son of Jesse's late girlfriend, Andrea Brock, shared a special bond with Jesse, but it's believed that he was sent to live with his grandmother after Andrea was killed. Brock was played in Breaking Bad by Ian Passoda, and since the Breaking Bad movie comes so close to the finale, it'd be impossible for him to reprise his role. That's right, because he's now much older. Brock was 8 years old at the time. I get it. Okay, so we are going to be taking place right after the fact. So, while it's plausible for other actors, to return despite having aged a little, it isn't a drastic change as it would be for Passoda, who'd be unable to play Brock as a young child. So I get that. Okay, so I can see that why it's taking place right after. So I hope they leave right from when Jesse leaves the scene of the Nazi camp. So anyway. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the Fanatics of Film, and here is my quick review and kind of a dust over all the the last few episodes of Breaking Bad to catch us up for El Camino coming up this Friday. So here we are, just days away from the long-awaited sequel to this masterpiece. The celebrated husband and father, family icon, had once been looked up to, treated as a local hero, battling lung cancer, although never allowing smoke to enter his own body, had now become an embarrassing, prideful lunatic who became obsessed with his own accomplishments. Even if those accomplishments had casualties, he was willing to accept them. He was willing to accept the essence of the destruction of his own future, although that catastrophic destruction was his own creation. As we dive deep into Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 9, Blood Money, Walt is completely oblivious to the fact that he has become ridiculously overconfident in his own self-righteous skin. Just a few days ago, Hank had discovered his Leaves of Grass book in the restroom, and Walt is finally realizing that it is missing, or that he has misplaced it. As Skyler tells him that Hank hasn't been to work all week, our supervillain, Walter White, who has become too good for his own hubris, has finally had his own farts shoved in his face. The look on his face is priceless as he is starting to realize that he has made a huge mistake. He then discovers the tracker on his vehicle with an overloaded disdain and confusion. Overwhelmed with panic in his eyes, Walt is finally forced to face the music. The music is the possibility of facing his own brother-in-law as an enemy. Jesse gives a stack of money to a homeless person. This scene is a slightly reminiscent of Back to the Future. Right after this, Jesse is inspired to unlock his own path to redemption, while we are blasted with the dark, spiritual, crooked music that is infused with a dangerous attitude waiting to slit our throats. Aaron Paul's performance is incredible in this episode. You feel every single emotion exploding from his tortured heart. As Hank scrambles to hide all the evidence that will inevitably become possible destruction of Walt's future that has been squandered, his entire being is covered in fear. Hank's nervous demeanor is completely overwhelming in this scene as Walt invokes his intimidating behavior. Almost drunk on the possibility of what Hank has discovered, Walt can't help but slam his own hand on the box of evidence. As Walt is about to walk away without any fire started, he decides to show the tracker to Hank. The fight explodes, and somehow, after all the back and forth, Walt says, "Tread lightly." The discovery of stacked money, an old man going to work realizes that he can't capture it all, and discovers Jesse sprawled on a merry-go-round ride, and all of the sounds in this scene are music. Just brilliantly done. And it's just sounds. It's just sounds only. Seriously, listen to this scene closely. It's amazing. Jesse's surrendered behavior is relentless, undying, emotional, and treacherous. Jesse seems like a ticking time bomb, but he is merely reacting to his own destruction. Haunting and relentless, the squeaking of the merry-go-round eats at our unhappiness. The look in his eyes is one of surrender, of an awakened spirit who has been tortured. However, he is still trapped, even though he feels like he has somehow unburdened himself from the catastrophe that has been his life.